What is up, Collider TV Talk fans? I'm Josh Macuga here on a saucy Thursday. If you guys are just prepping for the NFL season to start tonight, you are in for a treat. We are not talking anything about football. My bad on that one. Just wanted to start it there. Spoiler alert. Thanks, Cody. I appreciate that. But if you're out there listening, or you're drinking, you're watching, and you want to just drink. It's a saucy Thursday. Go ahead. Tell your boss at work it's time for a drink. That's what we're doing here on Collider TV Talk. Do you know why? Because we're celebrating our first appearance on a daily TV talk by the one, the only, the scariest of scary, Miss Perri Nemiroff.
I made such a big impression 2 weeks ago that he's totally forgotten about me.
I forgot. Whoopsie daisy.
I appreciate the big grand reintroduction.
Yeah, remember she was here and we talked about other stuff. I don't remember what.
To talk about Mr. Mercedes.
Yes, that's right.
Which is why I'm so happy to be back here.
Yes. All right, my bad. Perri, you know what? It's been
those
you know what
9
it
a.m.
was? It was the last day I left before my bachelor party.
That it was.
And I have,
it's understandable if you forgot everything about your life that happened before that.
Mm-hmm. You're right. But it's great to have you back, Perri. It's
I'm
really
happy to be
amazing
here.
to have you back on a saucy Thursday. Woo, we are starting off hot today. Perri, you know I love you. But welcome back. We got a lot to talk about today, so I'm excited you're here.
A lineup I'm very excited about.
We are also going to talk, because Perri, obviously, and Grace have watched American Horror Story season 400. This one's about a cult, apparently. They're going to talk about that later on in the show. But also here, as always, is our mother of ginger dragons. It's Grace Hancock.
I would just like to say that I would prefer your Twitter questions, not to be confused with Quitter questions. Great. We're already stumbling. Please tweet me. Don't text me at Mrs. Grace Face. # Collider TV Talk. Send me something good, you guys. Like something
really
saucy.
Oh,
Joshy!
Bing, bang, boom.
Okay, see, we're coming back. We got it. We're good.
All right, we got a lot of news to talk about. Grace, what's first?
Okay, so yesterday, HBO's president of programming revealed the award-winning series of Veep will wrap its 7th season. Next year is going to be the very last one. This is not super unexpected. The cast last year only signed on for 1 more year. I mean, she is amazing. She's won all the Emmys of all time in the whole world. But I am really sad to see the show going. I didn't love last season, but I think this is one of the most brilliant comedies of all time.
I think Veep, I was season 3. I jumped on season 3, right? And then, because I binged up to season 3.
Right.
Because people were like, you're going to like Veep. You're like Veep. And I was like, I don't like political stuff. I'm not a big political guy.
And then you watched it and you were like,
oh, God, I botched it.
Yeah.
I totally botched it. I should have been here since day one. Yeah. Julie Louis-Dreyfus is she's fearless. She's so good. This show is so smartly written. Like, sometimes you have to honestly pause it, and because you're laughing so hard, because they just joke after joke after joke. And also, too, she deserves all the awards. I know people keep saying, like, oh, stop giving it to her, blah, blah.
No.
She deserves the awards.
Every year, she's the best.
And she should get an award for best Instagram, because if you follow her on Instagram, it is amazing. She is.
Oh, of course.
Watched Zero Veep for the reason you just said. So hearing the way that you broke it down and why you jumped in season 3, I mean, maybe I'm happy that the show is ending, because that means I'll have a limited amount of things to watch, and I can wrap my head around actually binging it. But
easy binge.
Oh, and they're
so
only
easy.
half hour.
There have been so many people in my life that I've said I don't watch Veep, and they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy.
You would,
but
love
I was
it.
the same way.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't like politics. But then I watch it, and I mean, it is the comedy is so on point. Like, I don't know that. I really do think it's the best. It's the best.
I mean, what's crazy about the staff or the cast of Seinfeld, right, is that Larry David and Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I mean, Seinfeld hasn't done anything. Obviously, Michael Richards has his problem. Jason Alexander's gone, but Julie Louis-Dreyfus and Larry David have carved a home out for themselves at HBO that is unlike anything. They win everything. They're all over the place. Like, just such smart, genius people. But I am kind of glad that they're ending with season 7, and I will say that, because last season was good. It wasn't great.
Yeah, it was the best.
I love to see. I mean, it's still amazing television. It's better than most comedies on TV. It just wasn't their best season.
Yeah.
I want to see them go out huge, like something
real high
hysterical.
note.
Like, does she win the presidency? Does something happen? Because I'm going to run again. It's just
watch like Jonah becomes president.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Watch it, Perri.
Get on it, Perri.
All right, so yesterday we found out that Antonio Banderas is going to be playing one of my very favorite painters ever, Pablo Picasso, in the 2nd season of Nat Geo's anthology series Genius. So, I mean, season 1 was amazing and got
Fantastic.
like 10 Emmy nominations. I'm really, really excited to see this. I love where Nat Geo is going with all this stuff.
I knew like a little bit about Einstein. Obviously, like E = MC², and the famous picture with the spiky hair. But I didn't know a ton about his youth and whatever.
Sure.
And there were some slow episodes in Genius, but the kid who played young Einstein was awesome. It's kind of shocking that he didn't get any kind of nomination or recognition. Obviously, Jeffrey Rush playing Picasso, but this was so well done. Like Nat Geo really knocked this out of the park. For me, Picasso is one of those kind of people that is such a mystery. Obviously during the Franco era in Spain, he had to leave, and because he was being chased down and was basically going to be killed because of his thoughts and his art and whatever, and lived in France. But he always kept that like Spanish roots to him. And Banderas is from his hometown. And what have we seen Banderas in lately? Like he hasn't been in much.
I think the last thing I interviewed him for was the SpongeBob movie. Am I saying the right person? Does he play?
No, I think you're thinking of Shrek.
I hope not.
Shrek, he plays the Puss in Boots.
No,
you're
right.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he plays the only live action character in it.
He plays the Puss in Boots. Yeah. But
he's fantastic though, and I didn't watch the first season. I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Rush too, and when it started to pick up all those accolades, I started to say, maybe I should give a Nat Geo show a chance. And now that I see his name in a headline, it's kind of drawn my attention back to the show, and it seems like I should give it a shot. And, a lot of times when they announce things like this, you read those quotes and they say the exact same thing you would expect. But everything that I got from those quotes that are part of this announcement, it makes me get the sense that they really care about adapting this material in the best way. They really care about this story, and that's something that appeals to me.
Absolutely.
I know. Well, and he had such a crazy life, like you said, with all this kind of weird conspiracy stuff, and he had all these interactions with celebrities and affairs and Bridget Bardot. Like, it's just amazing. I can't wait.
I've seen some of his art in Spain, which was an unbelievable treat for me. But I grew up with a mother who was obsessed with art. She was an art major and a French major in college, so she had both of those things combined, and she always walked around with this Picasso mug, and I was like,
"Why do you literally have that my dream.
Why do you have that weird pig mug?" And she's like, "This is Pablo Picasso. You shut your mouth."
You uncultured swine.
Yeah. For the record, he was in the SpongeBob movie.
He was.
And you know who he played? He played Burger Beard.
From Burger Beard to Picasso.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, what's next, Grace?
Right. So Netflix has landed Ratchet, another new drama from Ryan Murphy with Sarah Paulson, of course, set to star as a younger version of the diabolical great Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So this is going to be
image. This is fantastic.
This is going to be an origin story. I know. Yeah, she already looks creepy. I totally buy it.
Listen, I love One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a great movie. I don't know who's out there jonesing for a Nurse Ratched origin story.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
It would not have crossed my mind, except when you read the article and read how this project came together, you read that there was a huge bidding war for it, you read how big that pickup was, you think Ryan Murphy paired with Sarah Paulson, because really that image is no joke. I can look at her there and see her. We're talking about Sarah Paulson recreating a character that earned someone an Academy Award. It's difficult to compete with that, but if I was to assemble any team in any kind of scenario, this would be it. It's Netflix, and what a cool thing for this writer.
Yeah.
I mean, fresh out of school, cool. And all of a sudden, what is it? Picked up for 2 seasons.
It got picked up for 2 seasons, 18 episodes straight to series.
That's something else.
Unbelievable. Here's the thing. I love Sarah Paulson. There aren't many people that can pull off this role, but she's scary. She'd be scary. In the Marsha episode, she's scary just checking out at a grocery store. She has an intimidating look. She's an intimidating woman, and that's Nurse Ratched is a scary person. In One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Mm-hmm. Give it and then she's all these American Horror Stories, which I obviously don't watch, but you do.
She's got serious range, though. I mean, the things that you mentioned, she can be scary, and I could see her fit this role perfectly. Yeah. I do get the sense that she could even add a little more to it, because really, when we talk about American Horror Story, she is a terrified woman in that. And then thinking back to her performance in a movie like Carol, where she had an itty-bitty role up against people like Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara, who just shine in that spotlight, yet that character still made such a huge impression. So I'm a firm believer that Sarah Paulson can do anything, and until she proves me wrong, I'm going to continue to believe that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm with you. All right, what's next, Grace?
All right. Well, CBS is developing an LA Confidential series based on the classic noir novel. It's like the serial killer, detective, seedy, glamorous 1950s LA. It's all of our favorite things. And as we see here, it was also a film. It's all of my favorite things. It was obviously a very well-received film in 1997. And this has been in development for a really, a lot of awards. And this becoming a TV series has been in development for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Whoops, I gave you guys the wrong link on that one. I put the Ratchet
it's okay.
one
We
with
figured it
LA
out.
I was
Confidential.
happy to read that article a second time. It was fine.
I'm just looking at this now. I'm like, wait a second. Ryan Murphy's doing this one too. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not like I don't know. This is totally my jam. Like noir 50s lipstick, but like I'm not like this doesn't
Noir.
But it's not like I read this and I was like, oh hell yeah. I was like, okay.
Like I know they're working on a Black Dahlia series as well, and
Shit, I did not know that.
and
see that gets me more excited than this.
And like LA Confidential was a very good movie. I really enjoyed it, but again, I don't understand. There's a lot of period pieces out there that they've tried and have failed. And yes, LA Confidential has the IP, it has all of this kind of stuff, but it is one of those kind of things where it's kind of like another period piece they're really trying to go after. Like, look at these short ties and these big pants I wear. These cops are really dirty. Put my press ticket in my press hat. Big light flash. Ooh, she murdered. All those cops is dirty. But a newsline. Like
I will watch that show all day.
Hey, Carl, what you think about the murder? Get this press out of here. We don't need them here. Come on, guys. I need our article right. Like that's all I see when I think about this show. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But there was just something in me that's like, eh.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. And
Yeah.
but that's the thing. It's, right now we have LA Confidential series, which it's not the first time we've heard this. It hasn't panned out. So in my mind, I'm thinking it hasn't panned out for a reason. So right now, all we have is that thought plus CBS. And that union to me does not speak as loudly as something like Ryan Murphy, Nurse Ratched, and Sarah Paulson on Netflix. So for all we know, they're going to start assembling a cast, and I'm going to say like, I mean,
is this something that they're going to try and
for here?
Is this something they're going to try and send to like the All Access? Do you know what I mean? Like this name,
like
Dateline. Let's go to CBS All Access. Pay $9.95 a minute to watch it.
It could. You never know. And it's just hard to give every single movie being adapted to a series a chance. And it's impossible not to sit here comparing the potential of every single one. And I'm certain that it didn't help that on today's TV Talk lineup, it's like, consider the Nurse Ratched movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's LA Confidential.
And then there's this thing.
So I'm fine just living with the movie.
Word. I'm in. I'm in with Ratchet, out with Confidential. I got sidetracked there. I was thinking.
Yeah, it's like going to Disneyland and going on California Screamin', and you're like, hell yeah. And then you go to like the Little Mermaid ride. Like, it's fun, but like, it's no California Screamin'. Thank you, Copster.
Woo!
What? You don't like that?
Woo! All right. We're going to do, right now, we're going to go into Perri and Grace's reaction to, we're not going to do Performer of the Week right now. It's all good. I should have written it in there, Cody, and I apologize. It's totally my bad. I also said that this was Perri's first time on the show, so no big deal. Let's talk about American Horror Story. You guys love it. What was this first episode like?
Okay. Full disclosure, I did not just watch the first episode. I have also seen the second episode. And I ran a review on my own channel of the first episode. And when I did that, I had not watched the second. But now that I have watched the second, it has colored my opinion of the first just a little bit. So something to be aware of. But
colored your opinion, huh? I like that.
Yeah.
I like that
in
turn
a
of
more
phrase.
positive light or in a more negative light?
In a more positive way.
Okay.
But I am a huge fan of American Horror Story. I mean, a big, big fan where I will totally admit that not every season is great, but every season has had something that has hooked me, whether it's a character, whether it's a small story that happens in one particular episode, whether it's the season overall. So I'm a big fan no matter what. I was really looking forward to this. Like we said earlier with Veep, I'm not all that into political shows, and especially nowadays, I'd prefer to keep my politics separate from my entertainment, especially separate from one of my favorite shows. So when episode 1 opens, it's not easy to digest something like that if that's not what you want in the show. And you know me, I love my outlandish horror. And part of the reason I love crazy, creepy things is because it's so far out of the realm of possibility that I can watch someone be murdered and have fun with it because it's crazy and it's not going to happen. But
this is why I bring you on the show, Perri. This is why I bring you on the show.
This does bring a sense of
Happy to have you for the
realism,
first time.
and
Yep.
it's difficult to separate to a point, especially at the beginning, because the large majority of the first episode is about exactly what happened last year, and it's about Sarah Paulson like screaming and crying about it. It's about Evan Peters.
So it's really heavy-handed on the left side. Like, not that I'm right or left.
The opening scene in particular is just so heavy-handed, where it represents her as just someone who completely like crumbles and loses herself because of what happened. And then there's Evan Peters who's busy shouting like,
so Twitter.
F
She's
you
basically
world.
Twitter.
You can make certain comparisons like that, but then the way the first episode is written, it feels really disjointed to me, where I do understand that their reaction to what happens in the election sparks their behavior later in the episode, but I look at episode 1 as reaction to the 2016 election and then creepy clowns. And when you start to get into creepy clowns, I start to see how he's planting seeds for future episodes. And then when I did watch episode 2, I started to see other ideas where I was reassessing what I saw in episode 1 in a new way. And the idea of offering new perspectives on things that I thought were so straightforward originally, that intrigues me.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a huge fan of American Horror Story also, like as an actor, dream show. Just, I'm letting you guys know. I mean, I've auditioned for it several times, so hopefully, someday. But I feel like a lot of times his first episodes feel disjointed. I feel like I never have watched episode 1 of any season and been like, oh, it's always kind of like, okay, like we're getting into the groove of things, but it always comes back into a cohesive arc later, just like you said. So I really like that. I am so like obsessed to see what happens with Billie Lourd's character specifically, because she scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God, she's like this creepy nanny, and she's showing. Do you want me to tell you?
I don't like nannies.
Do you want me to like?
I'm never gonna watch the show. It's fine.
she's like
Throw up the spoiler alert. Thanks, Cody.
She's like brainwashing him, and they go on the dark web and start watching like actual murders. And he's like, I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable.
Basically,
and she's
Perri's
like,
homepage.
Right.
Murders.
Did you?
Murders.
I said fake murders.
Fake
versus
murders.
real
Got it.
I mean,
murders.
I don't remember if I
But
heard fake. I'm just gonna say
I heard murders.
All
is what I
that
heard.
stuff is also, that's probably one of the strongest portions of the episode, where it's cut together really effectively too, where you see Evan Peters manipulate Billie Lourd, and then you see her go for the babysitting job, and then soon after that, she convinces Sarah Paulson and Allison Pill, their young kid, to watch these. So even though she's scared of Evan Peters, you see her use similar tactics on someone else, and you start to see how these things can spread.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it was the scene where they're pinky promising and
Yeah.
that it was cutting back and forth was really, really, really well done. I think that was probably my favorite part of the episode.
All right, there's your American Horror Story. We'll revisit this in like a
He's
few
so happy
weeks.
to move on.
So excited. Let's go to our favorite writer in the history of writers, Miss Allison Keene, head writer over at Collider.com, with her Performer of the Week.
Hey everybody, I'm Collider.com TV editor Allison Keene here with this week's pick for TV Performer of the Week. I seriously considered a three-way tie this week because the Twin Peaks finale gave us some exceptional television, exceptionally frightful and frustrating television, but also some incredible performances. Kyle MacLachlan came very close to being the first double winner of TV Performer of the Week, but then Laura Dern's heartbreaking performance in those final hours made me really want to choose her. And while most of us have been reading plenty of things about Twin Peaks and that finale and how great the actors are, not enough people are talking about the Tick. So I want to talk about the Tick, specifically Peter Serafinowicz, who is just fantastic. So first of all, the Tick is back in live action form on Amazon, and you should watch it. If you were skeptical after the pilot, know that the suit gets a major upgrade from there on out. But most importantly, Serafinowicz is amazing as the Tick. His vocal cadence, the way he delivers the lines, have such a certain diction. Wicked men, look at you wheedling away at your dunghill of contraband. I can't do it, obviously, but he's so good at it. He's also huge, and being physically imposing but somehow soft and approachable is a key part to that role. Serafinowicz brings not just humor, but an important childlike optimism to his character, which is really necessary to keep it from just becoming a cartoon, which it also has been a cartoon. But nevertheless, there's a lot of pathos somehow with the Tick, and his dogged determinism to do good, but to also inspire Arthur to embrace being a superhero is really touching. The Tick's first season is being split into 2 parts, so it's a pretty quick watch of 6 half-hour episodes right now, and I highly recommend it. It's a satire of superheroes, which certainly brings something new to the genre, but it's also very earnest in its exploration of what it means to be a hero, and also what it means to be a giant blue dude with powers. Important questions in our time. So that's it. Peter Serafinowicz is my TV Performer of the Week. See you next time.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you from Atlanta. You're always welcome here in Los Angeles. I know you don't like it here, but we're just waiting for you to be here eventually, Allison Keene. All right, let's move on. Let's talk Sinner.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little Sinner. So last night, we were talking about this a little bit off air. This was kind of a setup episode. It didn't necessarily lose steam for me, but it was just a little bit clunky in just the way I felt like they were like, oh, we got to set this up and set this up.
We've all been Bill Pullman trying to water plants, and that hose doesn't go far enough. I mean, we've all been there, and then our wife leaves us, and you're like, get this fucking hose. Like, I get it. I get Bill Pullman's anger with the hose. I thought this episode, when it ended, it was a very, very fast episode. Like, it was, there were some points that I didn't agree with. You and I are kind of on the same page as one. But I will say, apparently, on television these days, you need to bang a family member in order to have a show. If you don't have incest, forget about a green light.
All the incest.
This year on Modern Family, Phil... No, I'm sorry.
That's how I feel.
It's a joke.
That's almost how I'm starting to feel. It's like I feel like, when did that become a key plot device in every show?
Yes. Yeah.
And this was, I have to say, this was absolutely the most uncomfortable incest I've ever seen on TV.
It was really
sister
on sister.
Everyone's doing it right now. You know what I mean?
Listen, TV. Perri, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge too, Perri?
Hard no on that. I will give the Sinner credit with how they did that in this episode, though, because with most others, it just felt so important to the whole progression of everything that's happened, and learning at the pace we are learning about Phoebe. I sympathized with her. I'm not saying it's an excuse for her asking her sister to do what she asked her to do, but she lived her entire life in that miserable house. She's stuck in that room. Yep. She can't experience anything, yet she gets access to magazines that tease all the excitement that's outside there.
Right.
It doesn't make it right that she asked her to do something so uncomfortable, and that really is hard to watch for multiple reasons. One, because it's wrong, and two, because your heart breaks for her. She can't have any of this. She needs to
the development of who
everything through her sister.
Yeah, I think in this episode too, I think maybe the thing that got me through it the best was that Jessica Biel's acting in this was fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought
she's
really good.
Great.
I mean, I know you had an issue with the episode. Go ahead.
I was like, I did? No, my biggest issue was this. Okay, words. I get really excited because I am super into true crime. I'm really passionate about the justice system and how shitty it is. There is no way in hell that a judge is going to let this woman who is in prison, possibly for 2 murders, hang out with some old guy with, this outfit, and not have armed guards with her, not have any supervision on them, especially when they said outright, you're getting too close to her. But, why don't you guys have a nice little baby's day out alone? No.
Okay.
No.
I would have bought it had that happened before, the higher-ups came in and they started to say they're worried about him getting too close to her, because it seemed like a really small unit where he might be able to manipulate the system enough to get her out to do this, but after you set up everything
the Nurse Ratched of the state police.
I hate her. She is so
She's
one-dimensional, though. She's just a villain. I don't like watching her because you just hate her.
I think there are a lot of police officers out there like that.
Oh, for sure.
In a detective, she's like, she wants the easy, sees the easy victory. It's like, listen, her blood's on this. She's already killed a guy. She probably killed this body somewhere. But I appreciate the fact that Bill Pullman sees the deeper side of it. And the ending of the episode, we're finally getting, this was a complete setup episode. This was a standalone. Mm-hmm. We're finally getting to that entrance to the sex dungeon or whatever was happening. The heroin sex dungeon rape center. I don't know what the hell that place is.
That's the official name, yeah.
Yeah. So, listen, I think The Sinner right now may be one of the better shows on TV because going into it, I thought this was going to be my mom's favorite book club.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not.
It's a great binge watch, too.
Yeah.
It's just the way that everything builds and how, piece by piece, you're dissecting everything that's going on inside her head and you're discovering more and more. It's even though it is so much talk, minus the very beginning of the show, it just flies forward. Yeah. And when you finish one episode, it is that feeling where I need to know the next thing.
I know.
And this just makes me super excited for next week because now it's all set up and it's going to go insane.
All right, we have one more, Grace.
Right, and then also one of our other shows that we were really enjoying, Mr. Mercedes. Perri, did you binge all of this for us?
I started the last time I was on TV Talk, and I watched both episodes in a row. And then I binged the rest of it last night, and I love this. It's really exciting to me that I'm a big fan of this Mr. Mercedes show, and it is coming out, and now I want to read the book, Mr. Mercedes.
And they're working on Castle Rock, which is the next Stephen King on Hulu.
Yeah,
he's blown up right now.
hopeful about that, but I'm just happy that I'm seeing adaptations that are high quality and really damn good. I'm a big fan of Harry Treadway, too. I'm excited to see him get another role.
Yeah.
And Brendan Gleeson, he just crushes it in this show. He is so
I can't
good.
speak highly
and I
enough.
love the young actor that plays Jerome also.
He's great.
I'm really
their chemistry is so
really
good.
enjoying this. It's actually really interesting watching this back to back with The Sinner too, and just to see how, the police departments are exploring it and we were just comparing, we were saying things about like mean lady cop that came into The Sinner.
Right.
And then you see how they behave in Mr. Mercedes when they catch that other killer. It just makes sense that they would want to put a cap on every
Everything,
case and be
yes.
able to celebrate a victory.
Like,
so,
if you ever watch
right.
The Wire, half the Wire is like they have 400 unsolved murders, and they're like, we need to get 20 of these this year. And they're like, 20?
I know.
Gee, you know what I mean? And like, if you ever watch First 48, basically is if you don't catch them in the first 48, good luck. You're never going to get them.
It's like in The Night Of when they're like, when they can prove that it wasn't him, and she's like, yeah, we got more stuff on the kid.
Yeah.
And you're just like, like,
We could have done it. I think this episode, though, of Mr. Mercedes, what I'm liking is that we're getting closer and closer to seeing some sort of result. Like, he's getting cocky.
That like the end scene with the two of them finally, in a way, spoiler alert, talking face to face. I was like, yes, yes, yes.
And that creepy face he's got going, that's very It-like. That guy in the painting.
I could see that. Yeah. I
Very
think you're scarred from that movie.
Picasso.
Oh, that was very Picasso-esque. Big comeback.
Bringing it back.
Woo! Callback. Grace Hancock, everybody.
That's another great part about Brendan Gleeson's performance, because he had to earn that. He had to earn the right for us to believe that he would be able to manipulate the situation in that way. And, you put a glass of whiskey in his hand, and I totally believe
plays
he's capable
drunk
of that.
And he's
really
so
well.
damn
Yeah.
funny. Like, when
I
he
know.
laughs, I'm like, I was dying. Like, it's not supposed to be funny, but it was hilarious.
If they were going to
he's
kill that dog,
amazing.
too, I was going to lose my mind.
I there you
stopped
go. That's
everything
the
I was
scene
doing
where
and
I
I was
was
like-
I was kind of closing my eyes, and then I'm really
Yeah.
happy that didn't happen. But one thing I didn't think I'd ever believe was him getting together with Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah.
But he can be so charming and so smart when he wants to be, that when they got together, I believed it. It made sense to me.
I tell you what,
Yeah.
guys with beards are just really charming.
I mean, yeah.
All right, let's do some Twitter questions, Grace. What do you think?
All right, so we're going to go with our friend at TopAOz fan. What are some crazy things you guys have done to convince someone to watch a show you like?
Oh man, I
boy.
bought my parents the Netflix account for 6 months just so they would watch Peaky Blinders and House of Cards.
Did they?
Well, because I didn't love like the last 2 seasons of House of Cards, but I love Peaky Blinders, and like everybody in my family is obsessed with Peaky Blinders, and they've yet to watch all these shows, and they are like, we need new shows, and I'm like, 6 months of Netflix, here, go buy it, and they love The Crown, they love Peaky Blinders, they love House of Cards, like that. I went to just so my parents would understand my job to a certain extent. I got the Netflix account.
I've
Yeah.
done crazier things for movies, but it's actually the opposite, where my mom is super into TV. Like, she
Oh,
could probably
nice.
talk about every show right here. And
Let's
she,
get Mama
bring
Nels
her
on here.
on.
Well, she was also, if you hadn't told me to watch The Sinner, she would have had me watch The Sinner. And she
Mommy
was so
Nemi.
happy because she was visiting last weekend and we got to binge some of the show. But just to think of an example, it's because I love Game of Thrones, and I go home and I visit my family often, and sometimes that visit takes place on a Sunday night, and I have to tell Mom and Dad, I'm like, if I'm coming home and I'm going to be home on a Sunday night and I'm watching Game of Thrones, like, quiet. Let me watch the show.
Zip it. You zip it. I like that. I think that's good.
My parents were in town for the second, like the penultimate episode of this season, and I was like, okay, like, I'm sorry, like, I
Shut
love
your
you, but
mouth.
like, I need an hour. You can't talk. Like,
Shut
my
it.
dad's like eating popcorn. I was like, Dad, what are you doing?
My dad will talk to the dogs. He'll be like, Wally, what are you doing over there? And I'm like, stop.
Listen, your mom watches TV and she's a scratch golfer. I mean, I'm just saying.
And your dad
Perfection.
talks to dogs. I mean, are they looking to
Yeah.
adopt?
Clearly, the Nemiroffs are just the coolest.
I
The
mean,
coolest.
we
And
all-
they have their
we
own
all
vodka.
knew. We all
Nemiroff
knew.
vodka at your local CVS. All right, let's do a back in the day, if you could be a patient at any TV hospital, what would it be?
Oh, I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna say Yar because George Clooney, Noah Wiley. I mean, I want to be treated by those doctors.
That's an episode of Kimmel
I
that they
know
put there
that,
in
but
house.
I immediately saw
That's
George
pretty good.
Clooney, and you know, it's a dangerous hospital where they don't make the brightest decision,
They
and
definitely don't.
terrible things
Nope.
happen. But I would not mind a handsome doctor like them.
I'm going to go to Nurse Jackie simply because that hospital seems like a really good place to get drugs because everybody's doing them apparently.
It's a solid point.
But also, like, the administrators are always banging the doctors. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm a patient. They're like, we feel bad about you. Let's have sex in one of these beds. Done.
Josh Macuga, everybody. I would want to be Aubrey Plaza's character from Legion.
Oh, in that creepy
In like
mental
a
institution?
mental-
Wow,
you didn't
went
specify
the
what kind of
complete
hospital.
opposite way.
Yeah.
I'm a dark-minded
You
lady.
are a dark-minded lady. All right, speaking of dark, this show's about to go dark before we get out of here. That's called a transition. Perri, where can the good people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Perri Nemiroff. Watch out for Collider behind the scenes and bloopers because we're talking about more dark stuff this week, Saturday, 2 p.m. PST.
Boom, Grace Hancock.
And I'm Grace Hancock. You can find me online everywhere at Mrs. Graceface.
I'm Josh Macuga at Josh Macuga on Twitter and Instagram, The Josh Macuga Show on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. PST, Collider TV Talk. Put down the book, pick up the remote.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.